What's up, guys? Average Kiwi Guy here. How y'all doing? So that finale, the finale of Flash, appropriately named the finish line, which pretty much is the finish line for us two at the moment until the next season comes up on this channel. Wow. It was a pretty damn good finale. It really was. It had its really high points. It had its kind of like, kind of clunky points, but overall, it summed up the season quite well. Finished up a few storylines that we'd had been loose ends for a while, and it's finally come to a conclusion in a way, and we'll get to that point, that part in a bit. But you guys know the drill. It's a spoiler central. I'm going to ruin the finale for you guys if you have not watched it, so please go and watch it. Then come on back. You'll know what we're talking about, and I won't ruin it for you because I don't want to ruin the finale for you guys. I mean, come on. It's the finale for a reason. So please go watch it. Come on back, and then we'll know what we're talking about. All right. So the switcheroo at the start. I had a feeling Harrison was going to do something, like HR was going to do something, because the way he was talking and all the rest of it. But I forgot all about, like, his face pin. Like, I forgot all about that. And as soon as it happened, I was like, oh, man, I knew he was going to do something. Because the way he was talking and how depressed he was about, giving up Iris's location and everything like that. He was just, he wanted to do something. And this was it. He sacrificed himself for Iris, for Barry, for the team. For the entire team. And this worked well because for me personally, I think HR has kind of been lost this entire season. Like he's not like Harry, he's not like Harrison Wells or anything like that. The previous Harrisons that have come along who have had a purpose in the team. Like either as the team's leader or as the team's sort of resident, genius or anything like that. He's been the sort of comic relief through this entire season, and he's never had a purpose in the team. The only time he's had a purpose was once they found Tracy Brand. That was the only time that the show gave him a purpose and actually gave him a focus to do anything with. They tried to with giving him Star Labs to make it into a museum and stuff. They tried to do that, and they didn't want that to continue. So they gave him Tracy Brand, essentially, and they gave him this. And I think this is a good way to allow his character to move on, and then allow Harry, which happens later in the episode, to come back. I think, because Harry is a far better fit he's the, the more realistic, the realism guy, the guy that will tell you how it is and what needs to happen. And the guy that will do what needs to be done, which I don't think the team's had. The team doesn't have that anymore. Like Joe may be that one person, but the team hasn't had that guy that will say, no, we need to do this. It may be hard, but we need to do this. Sort of that parental sort of, figure in a way. But he has the genius to back it up. I don't think Joe quite has that. So I believe Harry is a far better fit than what HR is. And I think the writers realize that. They really do. I think they realize, like, hey, I think we pushed it too far with HR. I think we need to bring it back, put Harry in there, and then go from there. Which allows them to have Jesse Quick, probably come in a few episodes through the season. Things like that. It allows them to do that. So they gave this to HR. And it's a very good way to sort of justify his character and allow it to go in a very good way. I think it worked out really well. It gave me a bit of a surprise. It's like, because you went into this episode, I'm sure a lot of you figured out that it was probably, Harrison had done something, HR had done something, but a lot of us thought, like, damn, like, okay, are they going to have to try and undo everything Savitar's done? Like, is it going to be a time travel type episode? Maybe Barry doesn't go dark enough to create Savitar, so everything that Savitar does gets undone, stuff like that. No. the whole switcheroo thing, which came off like emotionally brilliant. Like the emotions when you like, yes, Iris is not dead. Oh my god, HR is dead too. Like, that sort of thing. Because I didn't want Iris to die. Iris to me is a very important part of Flash. A very important part for Barry as well. For me, this is what I go on about with Green Arrow. Green Arrow, I go on about this too, with the lack of Laurel, with the lack of Black Canary being right there next to him, being that companion that knows what's happening and can challenge them because they're on that even playing field. Now, I know Iris isn't on that even playing field because she doesn't have super speed, but she knows Barry, and she knows she can keep him grounded, but also challenge him at the same time, which I feel like Oliver does not have. He doesn't have that. So I was worried they were going to play the same card that they played in an Arrow, as in killing Laurel, as they would here with Iris. Thank God they didn't. Thank God they didn't. I think it worked out well. It worked out far better in that way. So the whole with HR dying, and then that essentially makes it so that Savitar failed in his attempt to create himself. So by not killing Iris, that means that like Barry won't throw everything at destroying Savitar or trapping Savitar, which means creating time remnants. So that doesn't create him. So now he doesn't exist. So now the Speed Force is going to eliminate him. And a lot of people said, well, why does it take a few hours? Why does it, where, Eobard got destroyed instantly as soon as Eddie killed himself, eliminating his family line. That thing is that's just timing. Like the whole fail to kill Iris thing happened at the start of this episode, so they need to fill out the entire episode. That's the technical part. But if you want to go into like maybe the story reasons why, maybe because Savitar being, influencing the timeline, but then I guess Eobard did the exact same thing. Maybe being a time remnants are different. Maybe they degrade at a different rates, where if you kill a bloodline off straight away, that bloodline does not exist. So then that would kill them straight away. I don't know. I think there might have been a bit of confusion with him being a time remnant, being from the future. It's a story thing. They wanted to keep him around for that last desperation bit, and this whole Plan B thing. So fair enough, But I mean, it gave us a pretty damn good final battle. I mean, I thought the final battle was very good. So then we go into the whole, being nice to Savitar or future Barry. Way Captain Cold said to Barry, look, when you don't change, Flash should always be a hero. The goodness in you is what makes you stronger, which is true. That's what Flash is always about. He's always the one who's the optimistic, the light in the room, the guy that will always, won't let the darkness consume him, as what would maybe like Batman or Superman or something like that would. And they sort of attempt to sort of like say, look, buddy, we will help you. We'll help you exist somehow. Like, we'll figure out how to stop this from breaking you down. But you need to stop this, sort of thing. And then they bring him back to Star Labs, and they talk, and of course everyone's pissed. They're like, why is he here? And all the rest of it. You take one move against Iris. And of course Barry's like, no, he's good, he's cool, leave it alone, he's fine. And basically through this time, like even Iris goes up and he like sort of caresses his face, his pizza crust face that Cisco calls him. And they sort of I guess she tries to connect with him. Like, he's still Barry. He still has those memories. Like, yes, he has some very bad memories, but he has all those good memories too. He has all the memories, growing up with the West family and, falling in love with Iris and, being with Iris and all the rest of it. He's had those memories. They're still there. So in a way, it is a good try. It's a good way to try and maybe get him to stop this nonsense. But I think by doing that too, you're showing him what he can't have. He can't have Iris. And he knows it. And like, he even starts saying like, well, what am I going to do? Am I just going to stay here? Am I going to become a superhero like you? What about the wedding? Like, do I sit on the bride or the groom's side? Like, he's trying to say like, love and hate are two very, the lines are blurred sometimes. And for him, he knows he can't have Iris. He can't. That's not his Iris. His Iris died. And he can't have that. So he doesn't want to exist, haven't been in existence where he can't have what he wants. Him just buzzing around, like, maybe helping Mary, trying to be friends, and, the girl that he's loved for all his life, the reason, like, her death was the reason why he went bad, sort of thing. He can't have her. And she's right there. And he has to watch them be happy. That would get a lot of people. And I think, and the ultimate end, he's like, F this. Back to plan B, like, F this shit. And he, like, plants the Philosopher's Stone, and that's like a giant bomb that goes off, releases all the energy that I think that was stored into it, destroys Star Labs, and, everyone gets out fine, but that's essentially, like, the end of them, buddying up, trying to make him, a good guy. But, I can see his reasoning. Like for Barry, like, yes, he gets Iris and all that, but for that Barry, he doesn't. He doesn't get it. I honestly thought they might have tried to put him in, like, Flashpoint or something. Like, why don't we just put him into a place like Flashpoint, which is, he could live in have a happy life with his mom and his dad, and, he would have an Iris there and stuff. I had a feeling that they were going to try that, but obviously it wasn't for that, the whole, like, previously on the Flash thing when they showed Flashpoint. But yeah, so that whole portion had a good purpose, but it just didn't quite work, I don't think. It was a little weird. But it came off, it was a very Flash thing to do. How about that? It's a very Flash thing to do. Trying to make the bad guy a good guy that way. So then it ultimately comes down to his plan B, which was to get Cisco to turn the Speed Force bazooka into, like, the Speed Force splitter thing, which will separate him out into every moment in time. Every moment. So there will be a Savitar in every moment in time, right from the Big Bang all the way through to, I guess, time not existing anymore. And that would essentially make him a god. He'd be an immortal, unstoppable. He would be able to, because he would be one consciousness, so every version of him would know exactly how the other versions are doing. He would be able to guide humanity the way that he wants. So he could become a god. He would be a god. He would make sure that no other speedsters would be made. He'd make sure that that humanity would worship him and all the rest of it. And it would work. That isn't to say that the Speed Force would stop going after him. I mean, the Black Flash would keep coming. It would keep coming and take out each of his versions. It would just take him an infinite amount of time, and that's essentially make him immortal. And I'm pretty sure he would be able to create more point. He would be able to redo it constantly. So he makes Cisco do it, and we kind of find out one reason why he has Caitlin, or Killer Frost, is that he knows that he could get Cisco to do anything he wanted. If he needed Cisco, he could get him to do anything he wanted because he wouldn't let him hurt Caitlin. And that was a reason why, she was brought there. And then after the whole, trying to make Barry, the future Barry good and all the rest of it, he comes back and he's like, "You finished?" He's like, yeah. But this is where it kind of got a little stupid. Like, why would you take Cisco's word for it? Why? Like, I guess you're desperate. Like, he is desperate. He's about to not exist anymore. So you take whatever you can, right? But you just automatically trust Cisco to make the thing that's perfect for you. By the way, like, this technology is not exactly well known, and Cisco just knows how to make this Speed Force stuff. That guy can create anything. He can create anything. He's gone from making, like all these little gadgets at season 1 to now be able to make Speed Force cannon things. It's crazy. But yeah, so he automatically trusts Cisco, and they basically try to kill Cisco, and Gypsy shows up. Gypsy, says, well, he's like, oh, how do you know I was in danger? It's like, well, we have a connection. So they're trying to pair those two up, which is good. Hopefully Gypsy sticks around a little bit. So she gets him out after Killer Frost tries to kill him. And then in a sense they go to this like monument place. I think it's the Savitar monument thing, and he tells the reason why he needed Killer Frost was that for some reason the Black Flash is as vulnerable to cold. She can kill him. I don't know why. I don't know why this unstoppable Speed Force demon thing is just doesn't like cold. He's a tropical Speed Force demon. He just hates the cold. So that was the whole reason why he needed her. I was like, oh, maybe she's like, because when they were building up to it, I was like, oh, maybe she's going to have to like freeze the portal open and that would make it allow him to do what he needs to. No, it was about killing the Black Flash, and that was it. That was all he needed her for, really, apart from the Cisco thing. And yeah, that essentially, he tries the Speed Force cannon thing, which apparently Cisco turned into a Speed Force skeleton key, which allowed Jay Garrick to come out, which has its own problems, by the way. And yeah, it stops him. He's not doesn't get split out into all the timelines. And yeah, so Jay Garrick's there. The rest of the Team Flash shows up. And this is when it goes into this really cool kind of battle scene, which I really liked. I thought it was really good. It basically starts with, Savitar sort of takes off, and then the 3 Flashes go after him. And I love this sort of thing where they were just like chasing him, and he's blasting things and like cuts the trees, and they all, dodge out of the way in the slow motion. I thought that whole bit, him jumping up in the sky, blasting with lightning, that was really, really cool. It got me going. Like, yes, this is, the Flash type stuff that we've been looking for. Now, and I would have loved it to be longer, though. That was the problem. It wasn't long enough. But I think it was because, this is a TV show, and like budget constraints means that they can't do scenes like that for long periods of time. So it was very cool, though. And I loved how it sort of, the 3 Flashes coming in and trying to take him on and stuff like that. But then, in a sense, it all comes down to a moment where, basically Savitar has no hope of surviving anymore. He's going to fade out of existence. And he goes, right, I'm going to kill every single person that you care about. Joe, Iris, Cisco, every single one of them. So if I don't exist, no one exists, and only you will be left, sort of thing. And this is when Flash proves that he is the hero that the main hero. He finds that extra gear. Now, I don't know if Savitar is, super speeding at this point, but he's standing still, essentially. And Flash phases into his suit, pushes him out of the suit while remaining in the suit, and takes control of the suit. badass move. Really, really badass move. And it shows how much in control of his powers he has now. Like, he can phase like that. Like, you saw a bit of that when he phased that train through all that rubble. But then they just turned it into Wally. Like, I phased too. But this was him finding that extra gear to go and to beat the bad guy. And by the way, the black and red suit, like the suit went like red with like very dark, like black. Whew. That suit looks so cool. That suit looks so cool. And yeah, so he basically threatens to stab him. Of course, Barry doesn't. And he vibrates the suit apart, destroys it. Boom. A very cool scene. A very cool scene. Something that I've been wanting to see out of Flash for a while now is Flash finding that extra gear, proving that he is the main hero, and showing that he can beat these bad guys, especially Savitar, who has overwhelming power and speed advantage on him. It was great. It was fantastic. Really good. And then I guess the weird little bit where, basically, Barry beats him and then starts walking towards Cisco and Caitlin and all that. Because Caitlin's managed to figure out, she became, she was able to take control of Killer Frost now. And they sort of combine the two together. And he's walking towards her. And basically, Evil Barry's getting up and he's sort of charging up for his super speed. And that's when Iris shoots him. Point blank shoots him with a gun that I guess she had, but I don't know. She just has a random gun and shoots Barry, which is something I think will stick with her for a while. Like, she's shot Barry. Like, I know he's not her Barry, but it's still shooting Barry. But yeah, so at least, and then it was sort of like, hey, it's funny, you tried to save me this whole time, and I ended up saving you. But yeah. Whoa. It was a good sort of, I don't think it was as an epic final battle as maybe like sort of what Zoom was a season ago, where they had that like spin thing, and then the Time Remnant sacrifices himself. I think that had a more sort of epicness to it. But I think this had kind of an emotional sort of thing with it as well. Like, when you see that Iris is not dead, and this whole finale went that way. Especially when it got into the final parts. Because they move into HR's funeral. And I was thinking, like, well, wouldn't, because Savitar doesn't exist anymore, wouldn't all that stuff be undone? But the thing is, remember, the stuff that Reverse Flash did when he faded out of existence, that stuff still remained too. That stuff all remained as well. So that's their answer to that. Like, no, it won't be undone. So fair enough on that. And when they told the story about, John Lennon's, sort of, growing up, what do I want to be when I grow up? So he's going to be happy. And that sort of fits HR, which it did, because he's very much that way. Like, he does everything instinctually, and he's very emotional, and he doesn't keep much hidden. It was really good. It was very good. And to be able, sort of send him off in a good way. And then just that moment at the end with Iris and Barry just sitting down. Just that, like, when you're really busy, like you've gone through a really busy, hectic sort of time in your life, and you just sit down and it's over, and you're like, and they just start laughing because everything that happened, it's sort of like, well, what do we do now? What do we do now? We've done all this, and then they start thinking about their wedding and everything, and Barry goes off and delivers all the invitations. It was a nice little end moment for them to have this sort of one moment of peace and one moment of sort of like a brief happy ending part. But then, of course, it's going to go all, it's all going to disappear. Like, something bad's going to happen. And it always does. Like, no one can ever just have a happy ending. No one can ever just have a happy ending. It all has to have some dramatic ending to it. And basically, everything starts shaking and everything, all this stuff, lightning's coming down and it's, different colored lightning. And, it's instantly the Speed Force. It's instantly the Speed Force. And, they all figure that out. And basically what's happened is because Jay got bought out of the Speed Force, that prison has become unbalanced. And it unbalances the Speed Force. And that has come through to Earth 1, essentially. And basically, it's up to Barry to stop it. And this point is basically the culmination of him paying for those mistakes that he's made for the past season, essentially. Creating Flashpoint. And in a way, it's a sort of payment for him, his future self, creating a prison inside the Speed Force. He created it. So by all of it happening, he has to pay for those mistakes. And that's what happens, and they have a very emotional goodbye. He asks Harry to stay and watch over them. He hands the mantle of, sort of the Flash over to Wally, which is very symbolic, by the way. That's a very comic thing that happens. And he goes around everyone, tells everyone to, look out for each other and stuff, and says goodbye to, to Iris, and Iris is like, I just want to be, West Allen, sort of thing. And it was very emotional. It was a very emotional ending, which I find Flash can do very well, and at points. Is a very emotional moments. And you're just like, would you just let them have a happy ending? Just let them have a happy ending. But basically, the Speed Force comes and gets Barry. And it's his mom, and she tells him, like, no, Barry will not be going to, like, he won't be experiencing the same thing as what Jay and Wally and all that did, which was experience a moment, basically in hell, essentially. I think he's just going to be there to balance everything out. And that essentially ends the episode. But I mean, guys, we all know he's coming back. We all know he's coming back. I mean, come on. Seriously. He's coming back. It might take a few, maybe he'll be back end of episode 1 of the next one. He may be back in a few episodes, but he will be back. It's nothing to worry about. The only thing is how are they going to bring him back, and when are they going to bring him back? That's the thing. Like, do they time skip a few years? Like, do they time skip to a point where, everyone's kind of moved on? Everyone's kind of moved on, and he gets back, and maybe, like, Iris has another sort of... If she has another fiance, I swear to God. Because remember, she's been a fiance twice. Now, and she hasn't been able to get married. So, he could come back and, she's, got a new boyfriend or something. Wally's established himself as the Flash. But what I think is going to happen is they constantly referring to Defoe. And Defoe, being the Thinker, is a pretty big Flash villain. And I'd say what will happen is it'll get to a point where Wally can't handle him. Like, basically, that world is under immense threat. And the Speed Force allows Barry to go back. And he sort of gets reborn, sort of rebirth. He could even have, like, a more control over his speed. He could be even better. I wouldn't be surprised in that because he spent the entire time in the Speed Force. Maybe he's even better. I just think, like, it's all going to depend on when they bring him back. Like, do they bring him back, a few years, a few months? It's going to be interesting. It is going to be interesting to see. But yeah, that was season 3. I mean, overall, I think they took him down a very dark path, a very emotional sort of path. Did it suit Flash? Not all the time. I think it got a little sort of, kind of whiny, sort of, constantly contradicting himself, making bad choices at wrong times and stuff. But I think that's what they wanted it to do. They wanted to take him down a bad road. Sort of a very sort of dark road, I guess I should say. But now by doing this, by allowing him to sacrifice himself for a good thing, to answer for all his mistakes, he's kept Iris alive. He has everything that he essentially wants now. We will hopefully get the happy-go-lucky sort of, Flash that we really liked at the start of this, like season 1 and stuff like that. He hopefully has accepted what's happened to him, and he'll become the Flash that we all love, which is the happy one, the guy that that enjoys being the Flash, and isn't always so down in the dumps all the time. So hopefully that is gonna happen. But yeah. Alright guys, that's going to be it for us. That's going to be it for the Flash reviews until October, which is a bit of a shame. I've loved doing this, so this will continue to be a thing. Obviously, I'm going to have to find some other TV shows and stuff to be able to do this stuff. But don't worry, this will be back when Flash starts back up. I'm already excited for it. I think we're going to see a brand new sort of look to Flash, so hopefully that will be a good thing. Hopefully some different crossover stuff. We do have Black Lightning coming up, so that's going to be a thing as well. Tomorrow we do have the finale for Arrow as well, so we got some big series of mine ending. So yeah, that's going to be it for us. So thank you very much for everyone who's watched these, for all the views, the subscribers, everything that's come from these. Thank you very much, guys. I decided to do this sort of stuff a few months after, about around New Year's. I've decided to take the channel in this direction, and I have not regretted it. I really haven't. So thank you very much for everything. And yeah, so if you are interested, hit the subscribe button, hit the likes, the comments, the dislikes. It's all there. You guys know what to do. Check us out on Twitch, twitch.tv/TheAverageKiwiGuy. Check us out on Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff too. Alright guys, I'll catch you later. Peace. Bye.